He was helping to bore. Yep,
Oh, well,
there we
that's
go.
okay. That,
Yeah, we're on now.
Thank you, Andrew. And I'm gonna start sharing my screen so y'all can see it. All right, Miss Bailey,
Here.
Dr. Cable. Here. Miss Coleman,
here,
Dr. Davis. I saw his phone number. I believe he's on here. Dr. Henderson. Miss Lawson,
Here.
Miss Lazard Talbert,
Present.
Miss Merricks, Mr. Powell, I'm sorry, Mr. Taylor Gerald.
Here.
Is that how, did I pronounce your name correctly? I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am, you did.
Okay, all right. All right, so you have 8 here, and that does make a quorum.
all right, thank you, and I'm sure we'll get to this in the introductions, but welcome, Mr. Taylor Gerald. Next, we have just the certification of the virtual meeting, which you've always seen, but I think that has to be shown or something. And then moving on to introductions and announcements. There you are. Anything you'd like to
Hello.
you'd like to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Okay. Well, good morning. I hope you all are doing well. My name is Kevin Taylor Gerald II. I am a rising senior at Southern University in Agricultural Mechanical College here in Baton Rouge. I currently serve as the student body president here at my university and also the student board member for the Southern University Board of our system. And also I am a finance major with a minor in computer science. And I did have a chance to intern this past summer with the Lamar's Governor's Fellows Program under the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries. And I'm glad to actually serve on this council as well. Look forward to working with you all.
We're glad to have you here. You sound very busy, so we appreciate you putting this into your schedule. It's always important to have representatives of the younger people. Anybody else have anything they want to add to that? We have other introductions and announcements.
Yes, we have quite a few. We have quite a few new LOSFA team members, and we certainly welcome you, Mr. Taylor Drell, to our LOSFA family, and we look forward to working with you because the student voice that you represent is critical to what we do at LOSFA, and we do listen to students and do our best to accommodate. I'm going to put a plug in since you're a finance major for our accounting networking group that you'll hear a little bit more about. And I'm fully aware because I have a daughter that's in finance, and finance and accounting are not the same thing, but certainly we would be interested in expanding that to networking with finance majors as well. First of all, we have, as you can see, 2 new individuals in our scholarship and grants division. And I believe, Deborah, would you like to tell us a little bit about them? Or if they're on, they can certainly introduce themselves.
Deborah's still having sound trouble.
Is she? Okay. Are Terrellyn and Chris, are you all on?
Chandra is here.
Yes.
Chris Nelson.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Chris Nelson, the Special Program Specialist. I started on June 14th. I am a graduate from Southern University, and I am happy to be here.
Fantastic, Kristen. We're glad to have you on the team. Terrellyn, I see that you're on as well.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Great. Go ahead and tell us a bit, tell the group about you.
My name is Terrellyn. I came from Blue Cliff Community College. I really enjoy being here with LOSFA. I've met some wonderful people, and I continue to be here for a while.
We love to hear that, Terrellyn. Thank you both. Okay, on the next slide. All right. And let's see, Ali, is Ali on today, Alice? Or would you?
Actually, he's not on.
Okay,
He's
can you-
working, but he's working with Mark today.
Okay,
His Karim, but we all call him Ali Saeed. He joined the team, the IT team on August 9th. He is our new IT database application developer. He's come to us from Baton Rouge General with a lot of experience as a SQL developer that we really need. So, yep, I'd like you to welcome Ali to the LOSFA team. Also, I wanted to say welcome to Mr. Jarrell. I was an accounting major at Southern University with a minor in computer science, and here I am at LOSFA as the IT division director. So, kind of left accounting and went into information technology, even though that was my minor.
all right. And now we have in the fiscal division, we also have several individuals that we're very, very glad to have. And just so that you'll know for our members, Ali and Connor, when you see these two positions will be working together because our goal here is to establish the evaluation system for program effectiveness across LOSFA programs. We do know that it is important to be able to show to stakeholders, to funders, the value proposition that the services that we bring mean in numeric form, qualitatively and quantitatively, of course. And so Connor's on the data side, in fiscal with the projection models as well as the performance, and Ali's on the technical side to make sure that Connor's job can get done. So just helping us, and of course in procurement and contracts, of course what LOSFA needs to do for daily business. So Brett, would you introduce your folks, or if they're on, they can introduce themselves as well.
They are not on because I'm awful and I forgot to invite them, y'all. So I apologize.
You can invite them another time.
Connor Doucette is our new business intelligence and data analytics officer. He comes to us from the Louisiana Department of Education, and I can only say he has hit the ground running. He's already helping me get my TOPS projections for this year up to date. And he's going to start work evaluating some of the LOSFA programs very, very soon. And Eugenia Atkins and Evelyn Miles have joined our administrative services division. And they're going to be helping with everything from contract management and purchasing to cash receipts and mailroom management. That group has been a little shorthanded for quite a while, and we're excited to have two people that are that have experience in that area to join that team as well.
Thank you, Brett. Okay, and then we've got more. Terry, would you like to tell us about your team members? And if they're on, they can introduce themselves. You have 3 individuals.
I do. No, they're not on today because, like Brett, I forgot to invite them. I apologize for that. We have Jamie Allen, MBA, started in March of this year, and she's a student financial aid specialist who handles the deposits for the division. We have Miss Wilma Carter, who also came in March of this year, and she's our part-time clerk administrative coordinator. And she also backs up our full-time staff with clerical duties. Daryl Starks also came to us this year in July, and he, like Ms. Wilma, backs up our full-time employees as a part-time clerk and administrative coordinator.
Thank you, Terry. And then that does it. But again, lots of brand new LOSFA team members. And again, we're excited for the unique talents and skills that each of those team members brings to LOSFA. And because again, it's with that that we help to expand our mission and our reach.
This is Mary, and I'm excited to see that everybody's getting more excellent staff. I think because LOSFA does so much. And so it's kind of like Christmas in July or whenever.
It really is.
Yes. And hopefully, you know, and then, you know, we're right in the midst of hurricane season. So maybe, you know, you just never know, but it's always nice to have good staff added. We need approval of the minutes from June the 10th. Had a chance to look at them, and then we'll need a motion to approve.
This is Barry. I motion for an approval of the minutes.
Thank you, Barry. It's been moved. Is there a second?
This is Charmaine. I second.
All right. Thank you, Barry and Charmaine. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Good job. Good job. Way to start. All right. Moving on to the public comment.
We haven't received any.
Have we ever received any?
Fair few times, but mostly through people emailing us directly.
Yeah, okay. That's good, I guess. All right, and next we go to program updates, and the first program update, I believe, is Ms. Underwood with ABLE and START in the savings programs.
Yes, good morning. I'd first off like to welcome Mr. Taylor Gerald to the board and introduce my programs to him. START Programs manages the state's college savings program. We also manage the state's K through 12 program. Both of these programs allow for family members to save for education, either K-12 or higher education. We also manage the ABLE program, which allows disabled individuals to save for disability expenses up to $15,000 per year that does not interfere with their SSI or their SSDI. As you can see by the next slide, we stay very, very busy with all three programs. We have over 74,000 in total, and we manage a little over $1.3 billion in assets. With the ABLE program, we had a virtual training this week with quality support coordination in Metairie. These are social workers who help their clients manage their day-to-day activities in the disabled community. We had 40 in attendance. This was, of course, a virtual Zoom meeting, but basically they wanted information about ABLE accounts so they could assist their clients. In START, we've been working on the winners with the Shot in a Million scholarship winners. There were, of course, 9 winners at $100,000 each from Department of Health, and we've been assisting those winners and their parents to open up START accounts for those winnings.
That's good.
You can go to the next slide. For the month of July, we dispersed from the START, just the START program, for over $14 million in disbursements. So as you can see, we've been extremely busy with a staff of 8 people currently. You can go to the next slide, please. We've also partnered with UPromise back in April. UPromise allows those with a that sign up for it to have either a credit card or a log-on, which allows them to save for college by rewards. In July, we sent a mass email to 34,080 of our START and K-12 owners, and the results are listed on the slide. We had 178 new members added in July, 733 hits on the UPromise website. They were seeking information. So there are currently 551 UPromise members linked to START, and the deposits have increased from approximately $2,000 a month up to $9,325 for the month of August. So they are taking advantage of this benefit to help save for their college education or their K-12 education.
Great.
And that's the end of my report for this meeting. Thank you.
We thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, next we have the public information and communications update. Dr. Francis.
Hi, good morning, and good morning to you, Kevin. Just to give you a brief background of our Public Information and Communications Division. So I may be biased, but I feel like we're the best division because we get to do all the exciting things with students and parents. But we serve students and their families through virtual office hours. We conduct that through Zoom every day to just, it's similar to like creating a doctor's appointment, but or registering for an appointment. But they register to meet with our staff and we help them with their tops with navigating through the student hub, any type of inquiries that they may have. We send text message reminders to students. We answer phone calls and emails all day. We've just launched the Lex Chatbot. So that's also, you know, in coordination or collaboration with our IT department, but to just provide another solution to help students if they want to ask a question in there. And we do all the communication campaigns, all the fun stuff. So press releases, web promotion, social media, videography, photography, and we also assist and serve the other divisions as well at LOSFA. And we work with COST plenty of time. So if there's anything that you may need from us, like informational materials for TOPS, about LOSFA, anything to help your students, just reach out to us. I'll put my email in the chat and we're looking forward to working with you. Rhonda, next slide. So as you all might be aware, for the third time in recent years, Louisiana ranked #1 in FAFSA completion. So we're super excited about that because we all work together to get that, get the word out to students and to remind them of the importance of the FAFSA. Following our announcement of this news, the Louisiana Radio Network requested an interview with LOSFA. And during the interview, Dr. Swan Boutte, our executive director, explained how this ranking highlighted the students and the parents to help them, explain how this ranking highlights that students and parents understand the importance of the FAFSA in college access and affordability, regardless of their financial situation. And right here, so the National Council for Community and Education Partnerships, which is NCEP, hosted their annual conference virtually on July 19th through the 21st. Over 3 days, college access and attainment professionals attended the sessions that were filled with how-to presentations, program evaluation presentations, and descriptions of the most effective gear up practices. A few members of our public information and communications team, Isabel Reyes, who is our 9th grade cohort for the My LOSFA College Advocate, Darren Smith, who's our sophomore cohort, John Square III, who was our junior cohort, and Kayla Grow, who was our senior cohort for the MLC initiative, and myself, we presented a session entitled Preparing for the Storm, Using Digital Media Strategies to Develop Your College Access Prep Kit. So we adopted our LOSFWIX presentation, which we love to present on, to share how to use digital media strategies through website promotion, email promotion, and social media platforms, along with videography and photography to condense college planning, resources, information, and successfully promote that college going process for students. The session began with a virtual escape room that was created by Isabel that allowed participants to take part in a brief icebreaker that incorporated the digital media strategies that we would discuss in the presentation. We also utilized the web platform Padlet, which you can see the screenshots right there, in which users could upload, organize, and share content to a virtual bulletin board, which was really cool because we had the second picture you can see, we had a moment to reflect on our lifestyle and technological challenges that they may have experienced or they may have witnessed their students experience in the midst of COVID last year. And they also had an opportunity to share their gear up strategies with the map screenshot that you can see. And we had people from all over, even in Hawaii, to share the strategies that they utilized while working remotely. So the use of Padlet made the presentation fun, interactive, and it encouraged collaboration among gear up attendees. And as you can see from the screenshots to your right, everybody loved the presentation. We had great feedback and it was an awesome experience. And I'm just super proud of our PIC team for continuing to forge the way in this space as digital media experts. That's it.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, next, thank you. The student engagement update, Ms. Malvo.
Yes, good morning, everyone, and welcome, King Kevin. So looking forward to get connecting with you and to hear that you are a finance major. Definitely have something to connect with you on. Again, my name is Livonia Malvo, Kevin, and I am probably the newest addition outside of the list of new employees that you've heard from LOSFA. I have the pleasure of directing the newest division of LOSFA, the Student Engagement Unit. And so our charge is to connect students to all things access, success, degree completion related there. One of our initiatives is our virtual student network group that you'll hear a little bit about, some updates on. And so Mr. King Kevin, afterwards, we definitely look forward to seeing how we can engage you with our accounting finance student network group, okay? So next slide, Rhonda, please. As you all can see, the network unit division has been growing and is continuing to develop. One of our initial projects were to survey those currently active network students that we have on board through our groups. We currently have 72 that we have orientated through the past year. Our survey spanned a span of time from June through July, of which of the 72 students, we had 45 to respond. These were qualitative open-ended question surveys, so our connectors interviewed these students. And I must say, with a 63% response rate, we had some good feedback. What we're sharing with you now is just some comments, but I'd like to, at a later date, we provide a more thorough and complete review of the findings from those students. So what you see are just positive affirmations that these network groups are beneficial to our students. 100% of them shared that they plan to continue participating, right? So up to the top left, we just send a shout out to Mr. Juwan Manuel. He is our first alumni out of our accounting network group. Juwan just graduated from NSU in May and already is employed as an accountant for a local car dealership in the Baton Rouge area. Very excited, but he chooses to remain involved in our network groups as an alum. So that brings in a different perspective as we continue to develop this concept. You see at the lower bottom of the slide, Ms. Haley Muhammad, who is in her final year of studies at UL. She is a chemical engineering major and doing some amazing things. Next slide, please. Here presented before you, I don't intend for you to read it, but it's just a snapshot of our recently produced calendar. Thank you, Dr. Francis, and your PICCOMS division on creating such a compilation of what our students can anticipate for the fall semester. So we highlighting topical areas and showing the schedule and dates of the various groups. Kevin, our accounting finance network group meets the third Monday at 7 o'clock. So we just had our monthly gathering, and we had our special guest was none other than the Division of Administrators Assistant Commissioner, Ms. Desiree Honore Thomas, and it was a phenomenal session there. If you'd like, we can definitely have that recorded session for your viewing to kind of onboard you there. If you would notice, advisory board members, we have something to about the 8 o'clock hour, look like a QR code. Nothing new into the arena, but since COVID, the QR codes have had an uptick in their reuse and their repurposing. A lot of individuals, entities are incorporating them to be COVID friendly with regards to how information is disseminated. Again, we all know the concept, the practice is to scan it and it'll take you to wherever. So we in student engagement have found a use of how we connecting our students with information through the QR codes. I think that's the last slide.
Good, thank you. Any questions? Comments? Okay, the field outreach services update, Dr. Cobb, please.
Good morning and welcome, Mr. Jarrell. So in field outreach services, we provide over 40 college and career readiness supports and services. Those services are in 5 areas: professional development, comprehensive mentoring, TOPS, FAFSA, financial literacy workshops, college and career counseling and advising, and college and career access support. One of the ways we support schools and through our students through our schools and districts is through contracts. So currently we have 74 schools that are supported in 22 districts. We target about 23,000 state-funded students and 12,000 Louisiana Gear Up students. I am also the project director for Louisiana Gear Up. Dr. Francis just spoke about the conference that we actually presented in this summer. Gear Up is a actual federal program. Gear Up stands for Gaining Early Awareness and Readiness for Undergraduate Programs. And Louisiana is very fortunate that we are in our 3rd grant. So this is the 3rd grant that we've actually followed students from middle school to high school. Currently, we're in the 6th year of a 7-year grant. Most of our students in this upcoming year through Gear Up or in 11th and 12th grade, but in one of our districts, Sabine, the students are in 6th through 12. So that's a little bit about what we do in field outreach services. Next slide, please, Rhonda. So in our outreach update today, these are the areas that we'll go over just to highlight a few of the components and the initiatives that we had going on this summer and that we currently have going on. If you can advance to the next slide, Rhonda. So this first slide covers our summer programs. Every year we provide summer programs, and we're very fortunate this year to provide even more experiences for our state-funded schools. So as a result of that, this is the students who participated, but not only the students who, and I'm saying participated, who registered, we're using the registration numbers here, who actually registered for these summer programs, but also the number of schools. And as you can see, there was a lot of schools, many more schools that actually participated. And definitely want to have a shout out to Ms. Malvo and her team and their work actually helping with getting the word out for those state-funded schools or those statewide service schools. And just a little bit about these experiences. These experiences were virtual and online. So I'm definitely excited about those and the feedback that we received from those. The students had a blast, as well as the professors and the post-secondary professionals who actually work with the students. Next slide, please. So as Dr. Francis went over earlier, we also presented in 2 sessions with the 2021 Gear Up Conference last month. And in the session that we actually presented on, it was collaborating with university partners to deliver experiential learning programs that increase post-secondary access and success. So we actually, several of our team members from our unit, along with Steve Grusbeck from Northwestern State University, presented in this session. And these are some of the topics that we went over. The feedback was really great. There was a lot of takeaways that we actually provided to the program participants in terms of the strategies and how we leveraged the abilities of our post-secondary partners to make this work for both our Gear Up schools and the post-secondary institutions that we work with. Thomas Rudd, who is our career specialist, college and career transition specialist, he actually was invited to participate in a session called Exploration Lab, securing buy-in at the school level. He worked with our team to represent Louisiana Gear Up in this session, and he actually worked in one of the breakout rooms, and his room was on burnout. So he was really, work with our team to, just to leverage what we've learned and learn from others on how to prevent burnout. He is the primary person who works with our Connected Success post-secondary partners. And he oftentimes has to work with those partners and kind of like bridge the communication with the schools. So definitely don't want anyone to get burnt out on any side. So that session was also successful, and really proud of him for leading that session and representing Louisiana Gear Up there. And on the right side, you see that the Education Commission of the States actually invited us to participate in this FAFSA First States Move to Update High School Graduation Requirements webinar. And as a part of that, I actually presented in a breakout room the highlighted session there that says Lessons Learned from Louisiana. So a very intimate setting where the participants were able to come in and ask some of the feedback that we have had and some of the lessons learned from Louisiana, and just was very proud and just very honored to be invited and to participate in that. It was very well received. Next slide, please. Another professional development highlight we have is the 2021, it's ASEE, but that stands for the American Society for Engineering Education. So as a part of their virtual annual conference, we actually presented a paper. I'm saying we, I didn't physically go, but some team members of Southeastern Louisiana University actually presented last month. I was actually one of the co-authors, but this particular project was around the summer programs that we've actually partnered with through Connected Success at Southeastern Louisiana University. And they presented on, you know, some of the strategies, lessons learned, and the evaluation of those summer programs. And they even presented on a paper and a poster session. So that was a really great turnout, and definitely putting LOSFA Louisiana Gear Up on the map and Southeastern Louisiana University. Also, I presented at the International STEM Education Conference with the tech folks. So our tech partners, Louisiana tech partners, about some of the work we're doing with them. This was a Canadian international conference, and this actually happened last month in July. So all about the wonderful things we're doing through Connected Success through Louisiana Tech. And on the right side, you have the program highlights we have in terms of what we were able to get done last year. So just super proud of the team. Like I said before, we target over 30,000 students through our contracts, but we do so much more than that. As schools and communities or actually request help, we actually support other non-contracted schools as well. And as you can see here, this was our reach, a grand total of over 105,000 students, over 4,000 parents, over 4,000 educators, in over 1,100 events this past year. So super proud of the team. And of course, the students, parents, and educators can participate and did participate in multiple activities. Next slide. So as one of the initiatives that we actually provide, and that would be in the category of college and career access support. So we support students in our schools, our Gear Up schools, through tutoring. And these are some of the subjects that we actually tutor students on. And these are some of our results. So the students definitely are benefiting from our tutoring, and very proud of our academic content team and our tutors who actually work with the teachers. So they actually work with the teachers to make sure they're tutoring according to what they're learning. So they work in tandem with the teachers. So very proud of them with that. Also on the right side of the screen, you see some of the resources. Trey Square, who was working with us, he was very instrumental in helping us to get this edition of the June upperclassmen newsletter out. And we didn't have as high of an open rate in June as we've had earlier, but we knew it was because of the summer, but we still wanted to get that information out to the students. Very important. And finally, the family resources newsletter. So definitely want to stay engaged with our families. You know, the research is saying if we can get our families involved, we can definitely get the students to and through their post-secondary education. Okay. Thank you all so much. Oh, wait, one more. I apologize. Okay. Look, I have another meeting to get to. So yeah, so finally, look, so we've done TOPS Tech campaigns every year since 2018. So we did a 2018 campaign, 2019, and we are in the midst of our 2020 campaign. What does that mean? That means if students, 2020 graduates who have not accepted their TOPS Tech award, they have until this fall to accept that award. So we've done this, like I said, 3 years in a row, and we are in the midst of that. And this is an example of, you know, students' messages saying, how can I use the award? You know, giving them guidance on that. And we will definitely, you know, follow back up after this with the results of how many students we've helped this year. We've helped students get, you know, a lot of money in terms of this is yours. You know, you were awarded this, you can actually receive this. And so we will continue this and keep it going. So that's what I have really this time. And thank you all, and thank you all so much.
No, thank you. And before she runs to her next meeting, any questions? 105,000, that's a great number to remember, over 100,000 reached. Okay, next we go to scholarships and grants update. Ms. Paul.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks to the IT team, well, Rhonda and Andrew trying to assist me, and then Alice coming to the rescue. So I did bring my laptop in, so I'm able to log on from my laptop. So hope everyone can hear me okay. Just a welcome to Mr. Kevin Taylor Jarrell to our advisory committee. And you're going to hear about 4 programs that I'll report on, but I want to just give you a brief overview of some of the other programs that we administer in the Scholarship Grant Division. So we administer all 4 levels of the TOPS program, which include Opportunity, Performance, Honors, and TOPS Tech for students who are going to go into a technical field. In addition to that, we have the TOPS Tech Early Start program, which is a dual enrollment program for high school students in the 11th and 12th grade, where they can take technical education related courses and use those for high school credit as well, which gets them on the path to earning their technical degree a little bit earlier. One program, the next one is the Chafee Education and Training Voucher. This Chafee grant assists students who have aged out of the foster care system. And this year we're happy to report that, well, excited to report that DCFS, which is the owner of this program, was able to receive additional funding through the CARES Act that allows that award to go from an annual of $5,000 to $9,000 for this academic year. So this will really help students who have aged out of the foster care system in meeting their post-secondary education needs. We have the Rockefeller Wildlife Scholarship, and you're representing Southern University. We do have the Urban Forestry program at Southern, which is eligible for the Rockefeller Scholarship. It's for students who major in areas related to wildlife, forestry, and marine sciences. We do have the STEP, which is a strategist to empower people. That's a program for students who are on the public assistance roles to assist them in getting training so they can become trained to earn a living wage in a marketable area. Our newest program is called the Completers Grant. That was just approved last week by the Division Administration, the Board of Regents, where we will be assisting colleges with awarding students who are within 30 hours of receiving their undergraduate degree, either at the associate or the bachelor's degree level. The focus is on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and healthcare areas, but any student within that frame can receive assistance. Also, students who will be enrolling in short-term, high-demand fields through the Louisiana Community and Technical College system will also be eligible for the Completers Grant. And then next year, a new program we'll have is the MJ Foster Promise Program, that will assist students in technical areas who are over age 21. But if we can go back to the first slide was the Bessie tuition program. If you go back one slide, Rhonda, thank you. The Bessie tuition program for teachers assists those teachers who are in our school districts, preparing them to teach STEM related fields to their students at their schools. So a teacher who qualifies for Bessie will receive free tuition to be trained in a STEM field and then take that education back to their students as they go throughout. So that program is funded through the Louisiana Department of Education. Next is the Gold Grant. For this past year, we had $29.4 million. We, this upcoming year, very, very excited to report that we have $40.4 million, the biggest increase in the history of the Louisiana Gold Grant. Colleges can start building after their 14th class day. The schools have their allocations. So we feel that this additional $11 million will increase the number of students who qualify for Gold Grant, as well as possibly assisting students with more funding. The Gold Grant funds range from a minimum of $300 per year up to $3,000. Many of our schools are only giving students about $1,000 to $2,000 per academic year. So we're excited to see where the funding will go with the Gold Grant. Next slide is the John R. Justice. This is a program where we assist public servants who are working either as public defenders or prosecutors. Those we preparing right now to mail out checks for four public defenders and 1 prosecutor. We're still collecting data. So what happens is once they're eligible as a public defender, we pay $3,900 back to their student loan debt, which helps reduce their overall payments on those student loans. And then prosecutors reach, well, actually they receive $1,950 because traditionally prosecutors earn more than public defenders. So that's why the public defender amount is more than the prosecutor amount. And then the last program I'll talk about is the Go You Challenge program. This is for students who are graduates of the National Guard Youth Challenge program. During the ages of 15 to 18, these students are sent to a so-called quasi boot camp where they get back on track mentally, physically, and academically. Some students end up taking their GED test there, and then they go on to post-secondary education. Some students do credit course recovery and then go back to their high schools and graduate with them. So those students who finish the YCP program are eligible for up to 2 years, a tuition waiver, as long as they're majoring in an area that leads to a 3, 4, or 5-star job. And just to welcome you, Mr. Taylor, I don't know you personally, but I do know your aunt Courtney, who works for the House of Representatives legislature, as well as your mother. I'm friends with Courtney, and we're all in the same sorority, as well as Alice and Brittany, who are on the phone, women of Alpha Kappa Alpha. So welcome to the advisory committee.
No pressure though, Mr.
He's a
I was
Kappa.
about to say the same thing, Dr. VT, no pressure at all.
So I think that's my report.
Thank you. Anybody, any questions? All right, moving on, we have TOPS update. Mr. Hunt.
Yeah, good morning, everyone, and welcome, Mr. Gerald. Each month you'll receive a Topside update from me, but that's a small part of what LOSFA's fiscal department actually does. We manage the back office finance work for all of Board of Regents. We're responsible for paying invoices, depositing, classifying revenue, financial reporting, financial projections, and the grant accounting for LOSFA and the Board of Regents. And we've recently added a data and program evaluation aspect as well. So we're excited about that. So welcome, and I look forward to working with you. TOPS is easy this month. It's always boring in August. We paid bills until the final week, and we spent 100% of the TOPS allocation from last academic year. So we have begun paying from the current academic year. So there have been no interruptions in payments. It couldn't have gone any smoother than it did. So the total paid year to date is due mostly to the late summer TOPS billings. but it only represents less than 0.1% of the total allocation. So the numbers would be meaningless if I did present them to you right now. Hopefully at next month's meeting, I'll have a few billings from some of the larger universities after their 14th class date. So we can start making some early determinations about how much funding we will actually need for TOPS for this year. That is it.
Thank you. Any questions?
And
All right.
Ms. Coleman, real quick,
Executive
I'm sorry, real quick.
Good.
Kelvin, I think, is on the call and he's over the audit division. I know he doesn't have an update to give, but Kelvin, did you want to say a little bit about audit for Mr. Taylor-Jarrell? I know I'm putting you on the spot. I'm sorry.
Good morning, and Rhonda, I will see you in the office. Excuse me 1 second. Okay, my name is Kelvin Deloach, and I'm the audit manager at LOSFA. And what we do, we conduct compliance reviews of the programs that Mr. Bora Paul mentioned to ensure compliance with those particular program rules and regulations. So our audits are conducted at the high school, college, and university levels. And we have a portfolio still of our student loan program. So we also conduct reviews of the service of those loans. And we look at that our compliance reviews are used as an opportunity to connect with our officials, not only to say what someone may be doing out of compliance, but also to discuss those issues with our aid programs and explore opportunities to make those programs more effective for the students that they serve. So that's like an overview of what it is that the audit division does at LOSFA. Thank you.
Okay. Now, Dr. Booty.
Yes, ma'am. All right, Rhonda, you can advance it. I won't cover as much of the Shot at a Million because Terry's covered that. Just really want to give a shout out to several teams for our Lex Chatbot launch. Definitely legal with helping to use the TOPS Q&As for the background for Lex and the information that feeds the questions. Both IT and PITCOMs, Brittany and Alice, for working collectively with our contractor, Young Williams, to get Lex up and running. Andrew for assisting with testing. So this was a huge team effort. And as you know, we have launched our chatbot. And the whole purpose behind this, as we previewed before, Mr. Taylor-Jarrell, this would be new for you, of course, but we're trying to have a mechanism to be able to get 24/7 service access to students and parents, such that routine general questions can be answered upon demand. And Lex is an artificial intelligence way of doing that. This is a part of our overall plan to diversify the way folks get in touch with us, because they can text us, they can email us at CustServe, they can email us at GoFAFSA if they have FAFSA questions. We have specific emails for exceptions, specific emails for our new Completers Grant program. So there's a variety of ways besides waiting on hold on the phone. We have also moved to virtual office hours where folks can schedule an appointment. And this diversification is designed to make sure that we maximize the staff time to spend with those individuals for the air quotes, what had happened was situations. Those that are much more complex that you really are not going to resolve through just an email or text, or a chatbot's not going to be able to answer. We also are publicizing federal student aids 7-day-a-week office hours with respect to FAFSA. So all of this helps LOSFA to expand its reach and accessibility to our audience, because as you all know, in state government, we're often asked to expand our reach, without expanding our staff or expanding our budget. So you have to work smarter because our folks are already working very hard. So Brittany and Alice, would you all like to add anything to this about Lex?
No, Dr. Boutte, I think you did a wonderful job updating. We continue to work with Young Williams so that we can improve, and Andrew's been doing a great job tweaking the answers from some of the questions that we're getting, just so that Lex can continue to learn and be able to be responsive to the different types of questions we're getting. Thank you.
I agree too, Dr. Boutte, you did a great job explaining it. I know in public information and communications, we're excited about Lex because now our team can focus on more complex issues with our virtual office hours for students. So any just general questions that they may have, Lex, should be able to answer it. And I know that Andrew mentioned before that a lot of people are utilizing her. So we're super excited about that. But that's all I have.
You all will be bringing stats for Lex in the upcoming months, correct? Brittany and Andrew?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I have access to all the logs.
Okay, great. That's fantastic. So this is, when we first started this, to everyone on the team and to our advisory board members, it really seemed like a moonshot, but it's here. And the team did a terrific job of getting this done in the shortest order possible. So thanks to everybody who helped make this happen. Okay, Rhonda, next slide. All right, Terry's covered this, a shot at a million, but again, huge shout out again to public informations, to IT, to legal. There was a ton of back and forth, late evening emails that went into working out the logistics for establishing the mechanism to run these scholarships through START. Terry's team was wonderful as well. So again, just an excellent example of the way the LOSFA team members pull together to problem solve. And again, as Terry mentioned to you, that program is running smoothly and accounts are being opened. And if you all haven't visited the website, to be able to see some of the video shots of students as they receive notification of those awards, it's truly heartwarming. Was somebody saying something? Okay, all right. The next thing that we wanted to make advisory members aware of, as a part of the study HCM strategists did for the Board of Regents, one of the things they were looking at is the GO grant. And as most of you know that are on this call, GO grants are underfunded and historically have been underfunded. We are very, very proud this year with the administration for giving the largest increase in GO grant on record to now bring this to a $40 million program. But one of the things that campuses have given us feedback about was before, because of the limitation of funding, there was a 60% threshold. So the program could not be used to meet any more than 60% of the students' unmet needs. So if you had a needy student who was getting a larger Pell Grant and who was also meritorious in getting maybe some other need-based aid or scholarship aid, depending upon the circumstances and the math, that student would not be eligible for a GO grant or would be eligible for a reduced GO grant. So you've got a neediest student who's not going to get the state's need-based aid because they're getting other aid. So as a part of this study, the recommendation was made and passed by the Board of Regents to eliminate that threshold, to allow campuses to be able to package without this. So naturally that means that the commissioner and the Board of Regents would like for us to look at what's the impact. So we are asking our advisory board that these study questions run through the advisory board. We will use a combination of gaining input from the field, as well as our advisory board members through surveys that will be sent out through scholarship and grants, through any presentations at the State Association's conference, so that we can get that feedback to be able to bring back to this advisory board group, such that you can review that feedback, add your own input, and then make recommendations to the Board of Regents in these areas. So not just about, as you can see here, the 60%, but as we get great news in that Go has 40 million, now we've got 10.5 million for the MJ Foster Scholars Program, which is a priority on returning adults. We did not have that dedicated to that before. We've got temporarily the Completers Program, which is a priority for students, as Ms. Paul said, that are in their last 30 hours of completion. This is temporary money, but we do not know if that money will be, if that program is successful, if that will be something that folks that do the appropriations look at maintaining. But when you get all of these different funding streams, right, it's time to begin to relook at priorities to see, for example, now that you have MJ Foster and you're going to be able to cover returning adults, nonviolent offenders that are not incarcerated, what impact should that have on Go Grant packaging policies? Should those packaging policies change? For example, do you still need a priority for returning adults as a part of the mandate for Go, since you have MJ Foster? Now, I'm not giving that as a predetermined answer, but I'm saying this is what the commissioner and the Board of Regents have tasked our advisory board with, looking at these, getting input from the field, and then making recommendations. There's also been a recommendation floated that because of the research that says if a student is certain about the amount of funding that they're going to get, that this encourages completion and persistence and just a satisfactory result. So TOPS, for example, which is apples and oranges from Go, understood. But a student knows if you're going to this particular institution, that is the TOPS award that you're going to get if you've met these criteria. So the question has been raised as to, would something like that work for Go? Again, this is not a predetermined answer. It is just, okay, let's ask the field, query those who are Go Grant contacts, those that are on our advisory board who can also, you feel free to query your system representatives that you represent with these questions. And then that feedback then will be collected, brought back to this group, and we will be asked to report recommendations to the Board of Regents. Any questions about that?
No, but this is just a comment. I'm glad we're doing this, because I think what we don't want is to have something be overwhelming to anybody.
Agreed. Or not be able to use funding that has been hard fought to get.
Right.
And then, it will take you years at the legislature to be able to live down that you begged for it, we gave it to you, and you couldn't spend it. Or you spent it, but there was no effectiveness. Again, that is why we're putting in place those infrastructures to be able to evaluate all LOSFA programs and the return on investment or the value proposition of such. Okay, next slide, Rhonda. And this basically just is a recap of what I've said about how we'll gather the feedback and what the final result will be. Next slide. This is the, we included in the packet the entire budget presentation, so don't be afraid. We're not going to go through that entire budget presentation this morning, but we wanted you to get a preview first up of what we're going to present during the budget hearings in September. This is an annual thing that the Board of Regents does, and basically you are talking about your budget and you are given specific questions that you are supposed to ask and you are supposed to present upon. And the Board of Regents, of course, this is just a statutory authority that they have to be able to ask us that, because our budget is rolled up and all of the general fund that we get is appropriated to the Board of Regents and then sent to LOSFA. So the Board of Regents makes those determinations. Next slide. And these are the questions that we received. As you can see, the first one is about the additional 11 million that we got for Go, the allocation of those, the impact, how many students are receiving it, and the optimal amount of funding needed for it. All of those are in your presentation. Those answers are there on those slides. Again, how are we preparing for the administration of MJ Foster? Our teams have been amazing again on this. We've got a bi-weekly call that our scholarship and grant division has taken over the hosting of, but we have our legal team involved, our IT team involved, our student engagement involved, our public information communications, as well as wrapping their arms around assisting our scholarship and grant folks with supporting them, because they can run the program. That's great. Who's going to know about the program? What about the contracts with respect to the program, the MOUs that have to exist to get the data, and the entire process of making eligibility seamless? The LCTCS system has been on those calls, and we have extended invitations now to the Southern two-year system, Southern in Shreveport, and LSU Eunice, because those are the two-year institutions that are also eligible. So we're very excited to have them join those bi-weekly calls as well. We have worked out a process flow. We've worked out an eligibility process flow. The teams identify the MOUs that are going to be needed to be able to get information from other departments to verify eligibility. Robin's been taking the lead on that. Alice taking the lead on the process flow and eligibility. SG Deborah taking the lead on the coordination of the calls. So this is moving along rapidly. Again, that program debuts next year, but there have been calls. What LOSFA wants to do is to be ready in case anyone says, although you cannot distribute funding until the beginning of that next academic year, you could start taking interest applications and screening them, because it is quite a lengthy screening process. So we need to be sure that we are ready to do that upon request. Then the next, the TOPS projected growth. Mr. Hunt gave you a bit about the fact that they do those projections. We will be answering that. COVID changes and the effects on TOPS exceptions and acceptance rates and retention rates. Interestingly enough, you'll see this in the presentation, but if you look at it to see why are the performance numbers in retention sometimes will go down and then the opportunity will go up, it's because if a student loses their performance or opportunity level award, then that student reverts to opportunity. So you have a student who had better scores in a GPA now in that opportunity level. And again, those students tend to, the better prepared you are, the more prepared you are, the better you tend to retain your award. It's an academic award. But we are also seeing trends now that show those performance and honor students are picking up their pace and retaining their awards at a greater level. So definitely heading in the right direction with supports. The last one, which we focused a good bit on this time, is the plan for Gear Up and LOSFA outreach initiatives. Dr. Cobb, as she mentioned, the Gear Up grant, we're in year 6 of the 7th year of the Gear Up grant. So that means this school year is year 6, 11th and 12th graders. Next school year is year 7, 12th graders and first year freshmen, right? And then that is it. There's no more funding for that. There may be a competition. If there is a competition and LOSFA applies for such, we are not guaranteed funding. So what to do? So definitely we have to make the case for how much money that is. That's $7.4 million that you would be asking someone to backfill. So of course, the Board of Regents could choose to backfill the entire 7.4. They could choose to say, so sorry, you've lost that award. What were we doing in state match for that? That's about 1.9 million. We'll backfill that, but there's no guarantee that they will say we'll backfill that towards K-12. They may say we'll backfill that to be able to do other priorities of the Board of Regents. Again, that's an unknown for us, but we're putting out there how much money would be needed for that. And again, that's the importance of that, showing the value proposition, not just in the count of how many we've served, but the difference in the achievement of those particular students, the matriculation, and before matriculation, the entree into post-secondary, because those are priorities of the Board of Regents. We're also segmenting out our LOSFA outreach services, because again, our Gear Up is, the grant specifies which districts, which grade levels with the cohort you're going to serve, right? So we usually use our state money generally for those students in those same schools who are not served by the grant because they're not in the grade level that the grant is serving, or in limited instances, schools that are not served by Gear Up at all. That accounts to about 33% of the K-12 population. That doesn't account for the Board of Regents total priorities. So they have 3 that they're looking at. Master plan, of course, is focused on certificates and credentials, but the big 3 are access to success. LOSFA was very strong in that. Focus on adults. LOSFA was not as strong in that. And completion, as well as continuation that leads to completion. So again, we've got 3 big categories of service that the Board of Regents is looking at with their Student Success Council. And LOSFA is very strong, and our outreach is concentrated in 1 out of the 3. I didn't say our aid, I said our outreach, right? So that means that we're having to look at, we've got 1/3, so we've got 2/3 that we have to grow our outreach services in, but nobody's sending any more money and any more personnel our way. So one of the things that we're asking for is you segment that out, because this is outreach that is specifically targeted towards state programs that we run, not federal programs, and towards post-secondary access and success. That's about 1.4 million that we currently budget for student engagement as well as public information and communications to serve all of those audiences. So we are making an ask for another 1.4 million. Basically, what is the basis for that? If I'm serving 1 out of 3 of your priorities and you want me to serve 3 out of 3 of your priorities, then it would be a reasonable ask to be able to increase funding so that I can increase capacity, because technology will take you so far, but then that's a large expansion that we're being asked to do. A worthy expansion, but definitely one that we are asking for funding. So that's really the, if I said, the end sum game message of our presentation, that's going to be the focus. Okay, any questions about that? All right, that'll do it for me.
Okay, thank you. Obviously, always a lot going on, and we appreciate everything that you and your staff do to make this work. So we come to rulemaking. Ms. Lively?
Yes, ma'am. So our first item on the agenda is final rulemaking to implement that increase in Chafee awards for the upcoming year from $5,000 to $9,000. Ms. Paul mentioned that earlier when she was providing her background, and this rulemaking implements that change for next year. The advisory board has already reviewed this. This is just the final rule that will go to Board of Regents and then be published as a final rule.
Any questions? If not, I need a motion and a second to approve.
This is Charmaine. I motion to approve.
Thank you, Charmaine. A second?
This is Barry. Yes.
Thank you, Barry. So it's been moved and seconded to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same? Good. That's been passed. Okay, moving forward then.
The next item on the agenda is publication of final rules to implement the start interest rates for last calendar year. It is required in statute that these interest rates be put into the rulemaking. However, the state treasurer sets these interest rates, and we have no say in what those are. Neither the Board of Regents, the LOSFA Advisory Board, or LOSFA staff can change what the treasurer sets. So this is more of a formality. Again, this is final rule.
All right, thank you. I need a motion to approve. Can I have a motion to approve, please?
This is Amy. I motion to approve.
That's great. Thank you. How about a second?
This is Christy, I second.
That's great. Get your name in the minutes. That's always an important thing. All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Good. All right, that motion carries. Next.
So now we move to exceptional circumstances. Mr. Taylor Drell, I'll provide a little bit of background on this for you. So as you know, students who receive TOPS have to earn 24 hours each academic year. They have to enroll full-time each semester, and they have to remain enrolled, which means they can't resign. We provide a number of circumstances where a student can get exceptions to those requirements if they're sick or they get in a car wreck, they have a baby, they sign up for the military and they get called to active duty, etc. There are several of those, I think we're up to 13 of those, which are objective circumstances for which we can say for every exception of this nature, this is the documentation that you must provide. Those are processed by LOSFA staff. What we have here is exceptional circumstances. The documentation is likely to be different for every single circumstance, which is why it comes to this committee. The first one that we have today is an exception request to the ACT deadline. I believe, let's see, with this particular student, let me see if I can pull up. He's requesting that he be a late score be allowed for him to be eligible for TOPS. Under normal circumstances, students must achieve a qualifying score by the time they graduate from high school. If they have circumstances that are beyond their control and that are attributable to the administration of the test, they can request an extension of that to September 30th. Lately, we have had COVID-19 obviously has caused shutdowns. Last year, we had test sites flood where a student's last chance to score a qualifying score before graduation was ruined because the test site flooded or because the particular facility did not have air conditioning. So this student has presented circumstances for your consideration, and we are presenting it to you.
And Robin, just for clarification, that they can take the June or July test, but it incurs a 1 semester penalty. So this exception is to be granted all 8 semesters, right?
Exactly. Thank you, Rhonda.
You've heard Robin and Rhonda's explanation. Does anybody have any questions? Any things for discussion on this particular one? If not, then I will entertain a motion to approve this exception.
This is a motion to exception.
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. All right, so that's been approved. Okay, the next one, some other new business for exceptional circumstances. Robin, a little background for our new member on how you get to these, I think particularly.
So these exceptional circumstances are more often heard than the ACT exceptions. It is rare that we receive those deadline exceptions for the ACT. For these that we are presenting to you today, what happens in the office is that a summary is written and provided to a committee of executive staff, including several members from the legal department, from the scholarship and grants department, the audit team, PIC comms, and policy attend those meetings. And we review the documentation provided by the student as well as the summary. And if that committee agrees that the student has presented circumstances and documentation that justify an exception, we provide it to you for agreement or disagreement with our finding. So once this board reviews it, if approved, it will go to the Board of Regents for final approval.
And Robin, there is some place in one of the materials that I reviewed yesterday that, and I didn't write the numbers down. It showed how many you received requesting exemptions and how many you approved. So this is not something that is just done automatically. It is reviewed. And I can't remember the numbers, but it was in some of the materials I saw yesterday.
Yes, ma'am. I believe that was in the budget presentation.
Right.
That will be provided to the Board of Regents. But we usually receive along the lines of 1,200 to 1,300 a year. They are processed in one way or another, whether they go through one of those objective circumstances or this committee. There are several that do not even go to committee because they do not qualify for the exception under the top statutes.
Okay.
But all of them are responded to.
And that's when you read through the materials that are sent to you ahead of the meeting, you get the circumstances, and then when you complete those readings, you get the staff recommendations, and they recommended that all of these be approved. Sometimes we disagree with the staff, not often, or we clarify it or whatever. Does anybody have any questions about these 5 that are recommended for approval? If not, then we need a motion to approve these 5.
This is Barry. I give a motion.
Thank you, Barry. It's been moved. We need a second, please.
This is Amy. I'll second.
Good job. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve these. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any objections? The same? All right, so these have been approved. Anything else? I have just any public comments? Good. One thing before we adjourn, I made the assumption that we would like to continue with these virtual meetings. If that's not the case, you may want to let us know or let me know, but as long as we can do it, it certainly saves, from a fiscal standpoint, it does save money. From those of you that have so much to do every day, it probably saves you time getting to and from. So if I am in error on that assumption, please let me know. And
No,
I
ma'am,
think
you're correct.
And I think the executive, the status of things with the state still permits us to do this. Isn't that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Actually asked for, when we were asked what we needed in the proclamation, we actually asked for the ability to continue to hold meetings virtually for the reasons that you spoke about. In other words, certainly safety protocol comes first, but for us, it's also a cost saver and a time saver for those of you who are generously giving up your time to serve on our board. So yes, ma'am, you're correct.
Okay, and is any comments on that? You can let me know if that's not the case. Anything else anybody wants to bring up before we have? If not, I appreciate your time. Sorry, that's my
Chairman
phone.
Coleman?
Yes.
This is Deborah Paul. I had a question, and it's for really Charmaine and Amy Cable regarding the LOSFA Fall Conference. We know that the registration period is open. Have any allowances been made to have a virtual option for those who can't attend physically in October? Or is there a wait and see approach?
I haven't been involved with it. Charmaine may know more. I can find out though, if Charmaine doesn't know.
Thus far, I know we sent out a survey to gauge the membership to see how comfortable they felt with having an in-person versus a virtual. To date, we hadn't elected to do like a hybrid setup, but I can, confirm with Brad and then, follow up with you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I think if anything, Charmaine, we probably just need to make sure that even if the conference is in person, that we have virtual options for presentations for the presenters. So like if LOSFA wants to attend, but virtually, we need, from a presentation standpoint, I think that's probably an important thing to ask too.
Yeah, thank you for that. That is important for us.
Yes, ma'am. And I know normally with the presentations that are given, they do upload it to the website, and with an active membership, you do have access to it, but I will bring that up.
Anything else?
Just as a reminder, I'm sorry, Ms. Coleman.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Just as a reminder, we did add a meeting in September. So our next meeting will be on Thursday, September 16th. Again, right, I mean, virtually. September 16th at 10:30. So.
Thank you. And there was also a separate email sent out yesterday, just for your information. So if you have it, because from time to time you may get questions on legal things. Oftentimes in the neighborhood where I live, I try to tell people that these college students who are creating a lot of noise in the underage drinking thing, they might want to think about this as a possibility. But TOPS always surfaces, and there was an article in the paper recently about that. So that's why that was sent out. If you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with one of the staff or the executive director or myself. Anything else before we entertain the motion for adjournment? Now, I do need, if you have not made a motion yet today and your name is not in the minutes as making a motion, this is your opportunity. Could I have a motion to adjourn? All right, even if you did make a motion, that you get to have your name in the minutes again. I need a motion to adjourn, please.
This is Charmaine. I motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Charmaine. In a second.
And this is Barry, I second.
All right, thank you. We are